Hi everyone, Leon here. Welcome back to my channel, the channel that inspires learning. Now, have you ever wondered why some people are so amazingly good at what they do? Do you think that they are being blessed with certain talent or gift that nobody else has? Or do you really think that there are talents, like natural born talents, in this world? Some of you who are watching or listening to this may be parents, and I would strongly encourage you to take the principles of this book and help your child to practice it diligently, because this is most helpful to them when they are young and still learning. Now, for others who have already grown up just like me, it's alright too, because as long as we are willing to put in the effort to practice this consistently, this will bring us to a level of mastery that is equal to or even exceed some of the masters or experts in the field that we are pursuing. This book is called Peak by Dr. Ericsson and Robert Poole. Most of us would think that some people are born with natural talents or are gifted in certain ways that others aren't. For example, Mozart. He was thought to be a child prodigy in music. He composed his first piece of music at the age of 5, and he has this ability called perfect pitch, which is something like 1 in 10,000 people has it, right? And for those who don't know what perfect pitch is, it is like an ability to listen to any sound and then identify exactly which note it is, like A sharp, F sharp, something like that, because I'm not that familiar with music notes, right? So this was an ability that even some of the most experienced adult musicians do not have. This book shares with us the facts and researches that proves that the best in the fields that we think they are actually no different from you and me, and they do not possess any talented or gifted ability that we thought they have. Let's take a look at Mozart again. If we look at his family background, we would know that Mozart's father was a moderately talented musician. Now, he was training his elder sister first at the age of 7, and she was recognized as playing as good as the adult musicians by the age of 11. And then his father started to train Mozart at even a younger age of 4 years old. He put his heart and soul into training young Mozart. And this gave young Mozart an advantage of training even more intensely and longer than those who are not exposed to this kind of environment at such a young age. Let us take a look at another talent, Paganini. There was once in the middle of his concert during his violin performance, one of the 4 strings of his violin broke. And what did he do? He continued to play. And then another string broke, but Paganini continued to play. And you guessed it, the 3rd string broke. This just wasn't his day, wasn't it? But Paganini continued to play with only just 1 string on his violin and ended the whole piece beautifully. Talented, isn't he? However, the truth is this: Paganini had done a 2-string piece before and presented this piece to a person whom he liked, a lady. Okay, these 2 strings represent a conversation between a male and a female, and because of this, there was another request from someone else to request him to do it in 1 string as a challenge for him. And he did just that. But something came to his mind, that what if he could play a piece, an overall piece, that includes one section on 4 strings, one section on 3 strings, one section on 2 strings, and one section on 1 string. How would that be? And that is where he debuted this in one of his concerts. And this was totally intentional. He used his fingers to break the string forcefully and then played on as if the string broke by itself. This performance was by no chance coincidental. He mastered it so well that he's able to present it or perform it in front of people. Therefore, in the eyes of people who do not know what has happened behind the scene, they will attribute this to talent, to gift, because it just looks so amazing, without realizing that the truth behind it is the painstaking effort, the time that is being put into it to hone and better his craft and skills. This is the kind of practice that differentiates between the hobbyist and the professionals. Now, I'm sure some of you may be familiar with Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers that talked about this 10,000 hours rule. According to the rule, it takes about 10,000 hours of practice to be a master of your field. Simple, isn't it? However, according to Dr. Anders Ericsson, he said that this is not true, and this is not a rule at all. Because what Malcolm Gladwell wrote is actually taken from a study by Dr. Anders Ericsson, who is the author of this book, if you haven't realized. That it is a research done by him and a few other researchers in 1993 that involved Berlin violin students. The author mentioned that this is not an essence of his study, and this rule is incorrect in several ways. Let me give you an example. If you are a security guard and you have done your job as a security guard post for several years, does it mean that you are a master in that field? Another example is you are a teacher. You are teaching a particular subject and you're just repeating the subject over and over and over again for several years. Does that make you an expert in that subject? I think we all have an answer. It's no. All these two examples would have accumulated at 10,000 hours, but does that make you a master? It doesn't. It's not as simple as that. There are also other cases that doesn't need to take 10,000 hours of time to be a master in that field. It could just take a few hundred hours or a few thousand hours. The time is not exactly the key. The key is something else. Therefore, it is not just so simple to say that if you practice for 10,000 hours on your craft, you will be a master. At the start of this book, it presented us with a case study of Steve, an undergraduate hired by Dr. Anders Ericsson to help him with an experiment. Steve was asked to participate in a study to memorize numbers. In this study, Dr. Anders would read a series of digits at the rate of 1 per second to Steve, and Steve has to remember them and repeat the numbers back to Dr. Anders once he's done. The objective of the study was to find out how much Steve can improve through practice. At the start, Steve was able to recall 7-digit strings reliably and most of the 8-digit strings correctly. This session was scheduled once per week and lasted about 1 hour each session. Steve has to come every session to make a breakthrough and improve his memory by remembering more digits than he could in the previous session. At the end of 2 years, guess how many digits is he able to recall? It's 82. Amazing, isn't it? Now, Steve is not gifted nor talented. He's just like you and me. But he was able to do that in a matter of 2 years, which is just slightly over 200 hours of practice. And I don't know about you, but I think this is a pretty big achievement, isn't it? In order to test that this can be replicated, they did this experiment with other people besides Steve. And the results are all of them were able to improve their memory of digit strings significantly. So think about this. Our brain is a very powerful system. It can be trained to levels we may not even know we are possible of. And I like what Jim Quick has said. He said that there is no good or bad memory. There is just a trained or untrained memory. I hope this video has brought value to you. If it did, give me a thumbs up, comment below, or share it with a friend you care about, because you're not just sharing a video, you're sharing content that could make a difference in people's lives. And remember to hit the subscribe button or the notification bell to be notified of my weekly learnings from the books I've read on relationship, business, and personal development. Thank you. Do check out these other books I've reviewed. I hope they'll bring more value to you, inspire you to bring out your best potential. Do hit the subscribe button and be part of a journey to inspire learning. Beyond here, wishing you well and see you in the next video.